అందరికీ నమస్కారం. సభకు హాజరైన డాక్టర్స్ కున శతకోటి వందనాలు. కరోనా సమయంలో స్పష్టంగా మీ విశిష్టత మరింతగా అందరికీ అర్థం అయింది. సాక్షాత్తు భగవంతుడి ప్రతిరూపే డాక్టర్లు. భగవంతుడు ప్రతి చోట ఉండలేక డాక్టర్ల రూపంలో ఉన్నాడు. ఈ కరోనా విపత్తు సమయంలో నిస్వార్థ సేవ అనదినచడే కాకుండా తమ ప్రాణాలను సైతం పన్నంగా పెట్టి మీరు చేస్తున్న సేవకు మీకు మీ కుటుంబాలకు దేశం ఏమి ఇచ్చినా సరిపోదు. Whatever we do, it would be less for the community of doctors. First and foremost, I'm so happy to be with you, to be in Andhra Pradesh. I firmly believe this is a virtual presence in Andhra Pradesh, to be with both families, the family of BJP as well as the family of doctors. And Purandeshwari ji is there. They all come for my election campaign also. Thankful to all of you. There are two or three important issues that I would like to bring to the fore. First and foremost, I firmly believe that you all would agree to me that our Prime Minister, respected Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, has a special place in his heart for the doctors. A special place. If you would remember, during the beginning of the lockdown, even before the lockdown, when the Janta curfew was on, he had advised everyone in the country that we should either blow a conch shell, or we should use a thali, or we should use a tali, and through means of sound, we should thank all the corona warriors, the doctors, the nurses, the paramedics, and all others who are fighting against corona. And then we had the lighting of the lamp also. So twice, Mr. Modi, the Prime Minister, has spoken and stood for the corona warriors, and he has said categorically that we all as a country thank the doctors and the paramedics, the nurses, for what they are doing. I believe that first I should present you, since it's a corona time, it's difficult time, and you all are standing together, fight against this pandemic, I should present the report card of the Modi government as to how Mr. Modi has dealt with the corona pandemic and how successfully India is moving in a good direction. And you would be happy to learn that in fact recently a C voter conducted survey which was out in almost all the national newspaper and national media, even the Times of India had printed it. It showed that 93.5% of people across the length and breadth of the country had complete faith on the administrative capabilities and leadership of Mr. Modi as far as containment of corona is concerned, as far as controlling this pandemic is concerned. So I present you the report card. I'm carrying the report card. First is, how many laboratories were there before the lockdown? How did we include more laboratories? Before the lockdown, the government had only 113 government laboratories and 47 private laboratories which could conduct corona testing. And today, we can proudly say that we have 1,115 such laboratories, of which almost 800 are government laboratories and 300 are private laboratories as of on July 7th. Testing per day. As on March 20th, 2020, we were conducting only 1,500 tests per day. And today, in fact, the average testing is 2.5 lakh tests per day. This itself speaks volume that such huge is our country, and more than 2.5 lakh tests per day. And this is the reason as to why we are able to control the corona. Recovery rate on 25th March, it was 7.10%. And today, thankfully, the report card says that 61.13% of patients are recovering. Death rate similarly has gone down from 3.3% in March to 2.5% almost presently, while the global death rate is 6.45%. So as doctors, in fact, you are the ones who should be receiving the applause. हमें अगर ताली किसी के लिए बजाना है, किसी को धन्यवाद कहना है, ये डेथ रेट कितना कम हुआ है पूरे विश्व में. In the world, the global death rate is 6.45%. But compared to that, the death rate in India is only 2.5%. Thanks to the doctors, the paramedics, and the nurses, it is because of you. Similarly, the COVID hospitals. Before the lockdown, of course, there were no COVID hospitals. And today we have 1,201 COVID hospitals across the country set by the government. Dedicated COVID health centers. Today we have 2,611 dedicated COVID health centers. Similarly, dedicated COVID care centers. We have 9,909 dedicated COVID care centers. How many total COVID beds are there today? As of now, while I'm speaking, 20 lakh beds plus in dedicated COVID hospitals, that is DCH, dedicated COVID healthcare centers and COVID care centers. कुल मिला के 20 लाख ऐसी सरकारी बेड्स हैं जो सरकार ने मुहैया कराया है. ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा रिसोर्स है. PPE kit. Often questions were asked whether doctors are provided with PPE kit, N95 mask. ये जो protection है ये मिला कि नहीं. PPE kit, you would be astonished to learn, as you must be knowing all this, that before this lockdown, almost no PPE kit was manufactured in India. India was totally dependent on importing PPE kits from outside, including China. And today, thankfully, thanks to Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, India is producing more than 4.5 lakh PPE kit per day. ये अपने आप में बहुत बड़ा उछाल है. This speaks volumes as to how resourceful our country is. And for years altogether, the slogan that we are a poor country, we are dependent on others, and we are not self-reliant was absolutely bunkum and wrong. If अगर ये हमारे पे बन पड़ती है, if it comes to our ego and if it comes to our requirement, let me tell you, no one can stop India from becoming Atmanirbhar. As far as PPE kit is concerned, we have already become Atmanirbhar. N95 mask, we were importing totally. Before the lockdown, all N95 masks were being imported from outside India. Today, we have approximately 3 lakh N95 masks manufactured per day. Per day, 3 lakh N95 masks. Similarly, ventilators also we were importing. Thankfully, today, we have Indian-made ventilators. But though I don't want to politicize this meeting because people from across the political band would be present, my only request to the opposition is, since we are moving in the direction of Atmanirbharta, as directed by the Prime Minister, if India and Indian companies are manufacturing ventilators, don't say that they are bekar, they are scams, they are useless, they are not functioning. Please go into the details and let's not behave like Rahul Gandhi's. Let's not just declare something wrong before it has been demonstrated. So I thank all those ventilators companies which have made India self-reliant as far as ventilator production is concerned. Similarly, the good news is in Corona, the patient doubling rate was only 3 days when the lockdown had started. Now the patient doubling rate is 15 to 18 days. This is a good news. Now, since I'm talking about Andhra Pradesh, how many N95 masks has been distributed to states, union territories and central institutions from the Indian government? Modi ji ne kitna bheja hai abhi tak sab state ko? 2 crore. 2 crore such masks have been sent to all the states across the country. How many PPE kits have been distributed to states, union territories and central institutions from Modi government? Approximately 1.18 crore PPE kit has been distributed. Similarly, total ventilators distributed to states stand somewhere around 12,000 ventilators have been distributed. Total oxygen cylinders distributed to states is more than 1 lakh oxygen cylinders. Similarly, I would conclude by saying total hydroxychloroquine tablets distributed to states is approximately 7 crores. A big achievement as far as Viola fraternity, as far as a commendable job that this fraternity and that India has done during the pandemic is, despite the fact that we had our own requirement and we doubled our production, we fulfilled our requirement. And by doubling our production, we could meet the requirement of US, Brazil and other countries as far as hydroxychloroquine is concerned. And rightly said by the Brazilian president that Mr. Modi almost behaved in a way that he was the Hanuman who brought the Sanjeevani to all these countries. This is a big achievement कि हमने अपने परेशानी के लिए भी दवाई बनाया और दवाई बना के दूसरों को भी मरहम लगाया, अपना भी मरहम बनाया, दूसरों को भी मरहम लगाया. ये अपने आप में छोटी बात नहीं. देखिए, जहां तक since we are all doctors and you would like to listen more about the medical fraternity, the few things that I firmly believe that I should mention here before I come to a few political topics. We are just not medical practitioners. We are common citizens of India, so we have a take about the medicine issues. We have a take about the other issues of the world as well, other issues of the country as well. As far as medical issue is concerned, I firmly believe we would all agree to the fact that Mr. Modi's sole aim in medical fraternity is twofold: affordability of this department to one and all, so that no person in India remains without medical service and medical service does not become unaffordable to anyone. Affordability is one of the most important things that Mr. Modi has in his mind. And that's the reason as to why Ayushman Bharat is one of the biggest ever produced medical project across the globe. Leave aside India, but across the globe, it is one of the biggest ever produced designs to help the poor of this country. Almost every family which is poor has an insurance of 5 lakh rupees per year. This is something which is humongous. And the second aspect that Mr. Modi has always cared for, one is affordability for the poor. And the second aspect that Mr. Modi always stands for and cares for is, of course, the safety and dignity of the doctors. And I should congratulate all the doctors. I should congratulate my government also. I should congratulate the Prime Minister and the Home Minister, because on 22nd of April 2020, he passed an ordinance under the Epidemic Act that any person who attacks a doctor, a paramedic, a nurse, or a corona warrior, in fact, would be put into jail under non-bailable terms from 6 months to 7 years. And in fact, within 30 days, the hearing has to begin and the court has to give a verdict at the earliest. And if any such person, unruly person, attacks your property, damages your nursing home, damages your car, damages your operation theater, or any property of yours, since you are a corona warrior, you are a doctor or a paramedic, then the fine that the person has to pay, the unruly person has to pay, would be double, twice that of the market price. This is something which deserves a great applause, and I firmly believe this shows the determination of India to stand with its corona warriors, particularly the doctors, the nurses, and the paramedics, who have done an exemplary work as far as fighting the pandemic is concerned. You would also agree that one of the most important issues that Mr. Modi has always brought into medical practices, he believes that public health should be a mass movement. He believes firmly that ये जो public health है, ये एक mass movement होना चाहिए. लोगों का participation इसमें बढ़ चढ़ के होना चाहिए. And the biggest example of that is Swachh Bharat mission. I personally believe there is no mission in the whole world on the surface of this earth as important as the Swachh Bharat mission. It is a mission for the people, by the people, and it is a mission to change the people's attitude. And in fact, of course, we would not see the change in, I would say, year or two. But this is a change which comes in decades. This is a generational shift in the thought process. No other prime minister ever thought that this small induction, this small call, that let's keep our surroundings clean, हम अपने आप को स्वच्छ रखते हैं, अपने घर को और अपने आसपास को, can bring about such a huge change. And you, the pallbearers of this important message, I firmly believe every doctor should carry this message unanimously to every patient he or she treats. There should be a small board, or I firmly believe a small poster probably in their clinic, saying that let's keep our hospital, our environment, and your home clean and swachh, because that would save you from disease and save your pocket from erosion. I mean, on a lighter term, I would say that pocket from erosion, if the pocket of the patient doesn't get eroded, I mean, the pocket of the doctor would be empty. But I know doctors don't think that way. We don't think that way. We want our patients to be happy on that their pockets should never be drained. For us, blessings of God is always there. That will fill our pockets and our heart. And let me tell you, the Prime Minister has brought in some of the most important, I would say, projects which have helped the poorest of poor. One such, which I have gone and seen myself and was thoroughly impressed, was the Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. I mean, almost 4,500, and soon we would be having 5,000 such PMBJP, Pradhan Mantri Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana, in which most of the medication, almost 700 generic drugs are given. And most of these medications are given in a concessional rate. And the concessional rate is almost 50 to 70%, which is a huge thing. There are people writing that they're general public also, so don't just speak about doctors, talk about other things also. I would talk about other things as well, but certain things on doctors is a must, because most of the people today, I would say, if you have to hear a politician speak, it is you are a patient, because politicians speak a lot. And I don't know whether you love politicians or not, because I want to make sense today. I don't want to speak politics today. So you all have to bear me for the doctors first, and then I would be speaking about other issues. So this Jan Aushadhi Yojana is a thoroughly impressive thing. One important issue, see, people working as drivers, and as I've seen people working as help in your home. If you would ask them what has changed your life during Modi's era, they would say the cardiac stent. I mean, it was unaffordable, 2 lakh rupees, more than 2 lakh rupees. This cardiac stents, their prices have come down, 29,000 rupees today. I mean, this amount of humongous reduction in cardiac stents and the knee implant, almost 60% reduction in the knee implants. These are issues which only those who suffer they know. गांव में लोगों को अपनी जायदाद बेचना पड़ता था. See, Andhra is a relatively, I would not say relatively, extremely well-to-do state. As far as economy is concerned, I have stayed in Andhra Pradesh and I've seen almost every house, poverty is less and they're extremely well-to-do, hardworking people. But other states, I'm from Odisha, we have huge poverty there. So people would be selling their property to get even a cardiac stent, to afford a cardiac stent. This kind of affordability that Mr. Modi has brought is something which I commend him from, which I applaud him for. Similarly, we needed more doctors, 90 medical colleges with 15,000 additional seats. The PM Rashtriya Dialysis Yojana for all those small districts to have dialysis. The Indradhanush immunization program. And one of the most important thing is the National Medical Commission that he has set up, the bill that was passed, is something which all the doctors would agree is really what India needed. Before I come to other general issues, I just want to thank the Prime Minister. Since I said that the Prime Minister wishes a mass participation and a revolutionary method of inculcating healthy means into our public life, one of the best example to which even the world has stood up is the Yoga Day. I mean, hats off to our Prime Minister, actually hats off. We had so many previous Prime Ministers, leaders, etc. But none thought that this USP of India could really be used as a means, measures for a healthy world. Here is a man called Narendra Modi who stands up in United States and who proclaims that let's have a healthy world through the means that India has produced since eons, through a means which is pure India. जो भारतीय सभ्यता है, जो भारतीय संस्कृति है, उसने जो ये योगा दिया है, इस योग के माध्यम से हम अपने आप को निरोग रखें और पूरे विश्व को इससे निरोग रखें. यह संदेश जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने यूएन में दिया और सभी देशों ने इसे एक्सेप्ट किया. And today, in fact, we have a day ascribed to yoga. Last month on 21st, we had the Yoga Day. We all were, because of the lockdown, we were in home performing yoga. Believe me or not, this has changed the way we look into this dimension of medicine as well. Medicine is not just allopathy. It is Ayush, yoga, etc. And we all have to respect every vidha, all the branches. Now, I would not speak much, but towards the end, one of the most important reasons as to why I interact with you all in the presence of politicians, our Bharatiya Janata Party brothers and sisters, is that the Modi government's second term has completed its first year. ये दूसरे टर्म का पहला वर्ष मोदी सरकार ने पूरा किया है. ये किस प्रकार से अलग है? See, you may be a doctor who may be inclined towards any other political party. That is totally a democratic decision that any doctor, nurse, paramedic, or any person in this country which is democratic can make. But I have a small appeal. My small appeal is, remember, when the Mahabharata was being fought and when Arjuna gave up the weapon, Arjuna said that I don't want to pick up my Gandiva because the ones who are standing in front of me are my friends, are my gurus, are my brothers. Am I supposed to fight them? I'm not going to fight them. What was the message that Krishna gave? The message that Krishna gave was, you have to fight. Either you have to perish or you have to fight. There is no other option. Anya gati nasti. There is no other choice. You either fight or you perish. Either you fight the pandemic called corona or you perish. Either you fight in your daily life with all your troubles or you perish. So fighting is something which we really, really have to inculcate in ourselves. You may be a doctor, you may be a nurse, you may be a paramedic, but remember, It is not just one dimension of your life that you have to lead. It's not just the scalpel. It's not just the stethoscope. It is not just the oxygen cylinder. You have to remember that since the last 70 years, our country has been fighting on multiple fronts. Our country also needs oxygen. Our country's various aspects was almost on ventilator. Corruption, because of corruption, because of economic fallout, because of extreme dependence on, I would say, imports, of exports were down. On all these issues, our country was not faring well. So you all are warriors, not just on one front. You have to be political warriors also. I don't say choose any one political party, but choose wisely and be fighters for India. That's why I would conclude by saying that this 1 year of Mr. Modi is a historical 1 year. We had never ever thought that in fact we can, in this 1 year, we would see some of the decisions which even centuries could not make. Just imagine 500 years Ram Temple issue. 500 वर्षों से राम टेम्पल के विषय में बहुत सारे अदालतों से, अंग्रेजों के समय से अदालतों में केस चल रहे थे. We all thought that we would be dead and gone, and still the Ram Janmabhoomi issue would not be settled. But thanks to Mr. Narendra Modi, thanks to the court, thanks to all of you, that today one of the most contentious issue, one of the most important issues, the Ram Janmabhoomi issue, has been solved in the first year of the second term of Mr. Modi government. Similarly, Article 370, all those who are from BJP over here, they would all remember as to how important this issue of abrogation of Article 371 was for us. But we never thought that at a stroke of a pen, beautifully delivered democratically, discussed in Parliament, in 2 days Article 370 would be gone. We never thought it would happen, but it all happened thanks to the Prime Minister and the Home Minister and their tenacity to work, to study, to work, to democratically deliver. Similarly, you belong to Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. I was in fact addressing yesterday. This kind of appeasement politics that is seen in many of these states. Muslim women play a very important role. And remember, there are politicians who only try to appease, but here is a politician called Mr. Narendra Modi, who has really tried to do something for the Muslim women. I can see women participants also over here. I mean, just imagine Shah Banu's case in the 80s, when this woman, this lone woman, the woman in her 70s, who was thrown out of her house by the husband who was old, and this woman had children, but despite the fact that she was an old woman, she was not given an alimony of only 120 rupees. She had to go to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of her. But because of appeasement, in fact, the Rajiv Gandhi government stalled the Supreme Court's judgment on the floor of the Parliament. Today, after all these years, more than 30 years or so, we have a Prime Minister who has banned triple talaq and who has made it illegal, thanks to Mr. Narendra Modi. And lastly, CAA, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, these are places in which we have seen as to how certain people are trying to inculcate wrong information that this is about taking away someone's citizenship. But CAA is a human move. It's a move for humanity. It's a move for those who, in fact, have been acted against in Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh. And we all have to stand with it. It was long due, thanks to Narendra Modi, that in a short span of 1 year, he could deliver all this. Two issues remain still, because I believe the issue of China is hot. I don't want to speak about China because certain issues are going on the border, and the MEA would be speaking about it. But believe me, we have a man as a Prime Minister today who is strong, who has a strong will. Not an inch of our land has been surrendered. Not an inch of our land has been taken from the LSE that was drawn. Not one post of ours has been taken. This is what the Prime Minister has said. I'm thankful to almost all the opposition parties which have stood with the Prime Minister and the country in this hour. But I'm sorry to state, there is one political party called as the Congress Party. I did not want to name the party because I'm not here for politics. But it is about the country. It is not about BJP or Congress. When the country is in front of a crisis, we all have to stand together. When there is a crisis, there should be no confusion and there should be no conspiracy. And every attempt to confuse and conspire should be stalled. So my firm and humble appeal to all of you, the doctors, is twofold. Keep on fighting with corona, but keep yourself safe as well, your family safe as well. And second is, please fight for your country, which you have always been doing. Stand with your country, have faith on your prime minister. As they say, Shraddha and Saburi. Have faith, that is Shraddha, and Saburi, that is patience. This is New India, and as the prime minister has said, this is Atmanirbhar India. And since I'm addressing the crowd of Andhra Pradesh, my beloved brothers and sisters of Andhra Pradesh, where I have spent considerable time, let's be vocal for local also. Whatever produce Andhra is producing, let us, all the doctors, all the nurses, paramedics, and politicals should be vocal for the local produce of Andhra Pradesh. This is what the Prime Minister has said. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Vande Mataram. Thank you so much.